Somewhere in Rome, in the year 100 AD, a 7-year-old is sitting on the ground. One hand holds a small stone, eyes locked on a line scratched into the dirt. Around him, the city breathes. Cartwheels grinding on cobblestone, vendors calling out in the market, other children arguing about the rules of a game nobody wrote down. No phone, no scheduled enrichment class, no agenda. And he is completely fine. We have a story we tell ourselves about ancient childhood. It goes like this. Children back then had nothing. No toys, no schools worth speaking of, no real childhood at all. Just small bodies put to work as soon as they were able. They grew up fast because they had to. Innocence was a luxury the ancient world could not afford. That story feels true. It has the weight of centuries behind it. Most of us absorbed it somewhere between a history textbook and a documentary we half-watched on a Sunday afternoon. It is also wrong. Since the 19th century, archaeologists have excavated more than 2,000 objects from sites where ancient children lived and played, across Rome, Egypt, Greece, and beyond. Jointed clay dolls whose arms and legs could move, miniature wooden horses and carts carved with real care, spinning tops made from animal bones, tiny lead rattles, miniature kitchen sets with bronze pots no bigger than a thumb. These were not ritual objects. They were not decorations placed in temples. They are toys found exactly where you would expect to find toys, scattered near doorways, left under beds, abandoned mid-game in a courtyard because something more interesting happened outside. Dr. Sally Crawford at the University of Oxford, who spent more than 2 decades studying childhood in the ancient world, wrote that children in Roman and Greek society had a clearly protected space for play. Adults understood something that we have quietly unlearned over the past 100 years. Play was not a break from learning. Play was the learning. The developing brain does not absorb the world through instruction. It absorbs the world through doing, failing, trying again, and doing differently the second time. So what did they actually do all day? The historian Plutarch, writing around 100 AD, recorded that children were not kept indoors. They ran through the streets. They organized dirt-throwing battles. They imitated merchants haggling in the market. They built fortresses out of mud, knocked them down, and built them again with different walls and better gates. In ancient Greece, there was a game called ephedrismos. One child rode on another's back, blindfolded, trying to touch a stone placed somewhere on the ground. This game appears on pottery from 400 BC and keeps reappearing in artwork for centuries afterward. Not because it carried religious meaning, because children loved it too much to stop. In ancient Egypt, archaeologists found evidence of arm wrestling, jump rope made from climbing vines, and a game called kinet, played with curved sticks and a ball, close enough to field hockey that the comparison is unavoidable, carved into temple walls more than 4,000 years ago. Roman children played catch, hide and seek, and board games drawn in chalk on stone floors. They swam in rivers. They climbed anything that could be climbed. They raced each other down hills for no reason except to see who was faster. None of this was organized. None of it had a goal beyond the playing itself. But here is the part almost no one talks about. Ancient children did not learn in rooms separated from the adult world. They learned by watching and doing, directly beside adults who were living real life in real time. There was no hard wall between play and education, between the lesson and the street. Anthropologist David Lancy at Utah State University, who has spent decades studying how children learn across traditional societies on every continent, found that throughout most of human history, children acquired practical skills, craft knowledge, and social understanding not through systematic instruction, but through observation, imitation, and free, unsupervised practice. A 7-year-old in Athens already knew how to build a fire from scratch, which plants could be eaten and which ones would stop your heart, how to read weather from the color of the afternoon sky, and how to repair the simple tools that kept a household running. Not because ancient children were more intelligent than children today, but because they lived in a world where knowledge was not locked behind a classroom door scheduled for Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Everything happened in front of them. The blacksmith worked in the open. The baker explained nothing but could be watched. And children were allowed to fail in real life, with real consequences, without anyone cushioning the landing. Aristotle, writing in the 4th century BC, said that play is the work of children. Not the reward for finishing real work, not the thing you allow when the important boxes are checked. Play is the work itself. He believed that a child denied free, unstructured time was not a child being protected.
That child was being prepared for an incomplete life. That was 2,000 years ago.
Today, you are scheduling your child's life in 1-hour increments. Piano at 4, math tutoring at 6, bath at 8, sleep at 9. Weekends have swimming lessons, drawing class, coding camp, and something called social emotional learning that costs more per session than most people earn in an afternoon. Every empty space on the calendar is treated as a problem, a gap that needs filling, a risk that needs managing. And somewhere inside all of that structure, your child is sitting in the back seat of a car, moving from one supervised hour to the next, looking out the window, not sure what they actually want because they have never been given enough unscheduled silence to find out. The researchers have a name for what happens when children are never allowed to be bored, never allowed to invent their own game with sticks and a stone and a line scratched into the dirt. It is not a gentle name. They call it a developmental deficit. The child in Rome with a stone in his hand had nothing by our standards. No enrichment program designed by child development specialists. No app that makes learning feel like play while secretly being educational. No adult sitting beside him explaining what skills he was developing and why they mattered. But he knew exactly what he was doing. He was learning how to be bored without reaching for something to fill the silence. How to invent a world out of nothing but attention and time. How to negotiate with other children who wanted completely different things. How to lose badly and keep playing anyway. How to want something enough to practice it for hours without anyone asking him to. Those are not soft skills. They are not the extras you add to the curriculum once the important subjects are covered. They are not things you can schedule into a Tuesday afternoon and call complete. They are the thing itself, the whole thing. 2,000 years ago, a philosopher watched children running through the streets of Athens and understood something that we are still arguing about in education conferences, parenting books, and online forums where exhausted people debate screen time limits at midnight. You already know what he concluded. The question is not whether you agree with him. The question is what your child's schedule looks like next week, and whether there is a single hour in it with nothing planned, nothing expected, and nowhere to be.